Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Guile treatment. I guess it's what post Egg Harbor PTC. We are joined by the winner, me,
Yeah, bringing honor to
Tim
the TV
Keefe.
show.
That's also with us tonight. I guess actually we're going to start off. We just got some news about, I guess probably an hour ago, hour and a half. We're getting a bunch of erratas, no bans.
Which is surprising.
It is. I mean,
well, the fact that it's not
depends.
that it's an errata, not a ban, but
Mhm.
maybe this is the I know Dragon Ball and other games the OP guys have done are really heavy into errata, so maybe they're seeing the light on power level errata.
I think it depends.
There's
nothing
probably
inherent.
we'll probably talk about that first. So sort of like broad strokes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a change in and of itself that they're doing power level errata, where the only one of these changes that I feel like they would have done before is the champ card, because they've errated some champ cards before.
Very true.
The thing to me is there isn't anything inherently wrong with erratas. The only thing to me that's like a little tough for Jasco is if you want to have erratas, you really need to have some spot where they're easy to find.
Sure.
They have their tournament. I think they're in the tournament floor rules or something.
There's a tournament legato list. It lists what sets are legal, and then it lists all the errata. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to want to more strongly compartmentalize. This is errata that's just making cards work the way you expect it to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This section is errata that is meant to address power level of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe here's the section that's sort of meant to stop some loops, because there's a handful of those now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I've talked about it, I don't think here, but in other spots where I know obviously Magic has Oracle or whatever, where you can just find any card and it'll tell you the 8 different text changes it's had and assorted rulings and whatever. That's probably pretty ambitious. I don't know how you would sort of start you could make one. Obviously it's not that hard, but it's more just the effort involved is pretty
high. We should get Phil Birch on it, because Phil Birch constructed the top 16 Nationals deck list.
There's a slight difference between
tackle that project.
Coding a database.
That's also true. Yes.
Once the database was coded,
right.
You could get people to help fill it in and make sure that all the updated card text is working. There are people that would volunteer for that, myself included.
So anybody who's good at coding,
building the structure is the hard part.
Right.
We need you. We need you right now. People who are good at coding, we are asking for your help right now.
The other thing is, I know some games that they have sort of a card reference document.
Oh yeah, Dragon Ball Z from Score had a CRD.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, which is effectively just a big Word document, and it's every card in the game is just in it, and it's basically just the assorted numbers. So if it was an attack, it would be 5 high mid, 6 or something like that for and then it just has the text box text as it is at tournaments. And the thing is that's kind of if you start getting to the point where you're getting real clean about your wording and you want to update old cards to kind of conform to it, basically for all those old cards that say remove on them somewhere, and what they really mean is leave. For instance, pressure sensitive.
Yeah.
You could just basically have that say whatever it's supposed to say, and if somebody's new or just doesn't remember, they can just pull up the document, type in Control F pressure sensitive, and it'll pop up and it'll say remove whenever a card would leave your staging area or something cancel
it's almost
get rid of
an Oracle without the structure. It's just in a spreadsheet or something, right. Mm-hmm. Or I guess a Word doc or whatever. But getting back to the power level thing, obviously the reason they haven't done it up until now is because, like, on sort of a theoretical card game stewardship level, you really don't want to have power level errata because it sort of, there's a slippery slope argument, basically. If you have like a couple of them, like that can be fine, and that's why Jesco's been all right with limiting it to loop scenarios, pretty much. But if you can get to a point where in some card games where you have like 60 different power level erratas, and people literally are bringing like a small binder to events to remember what cards do.
There's a guy who plays locally. He has the Yu Yu Hakusho CRD. It's like this. It's like this thick, full of erratas.
Oh my god!
Like Score was bad at. Do you think Jesco is not very good? Score was horrible at wording, and they're both CRDs for DBZ and Yu Yu Hakusho were at least 2 inches thick. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
See, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's really like problematic in like anything that's just sort of like a clarity or sort of a fix of, for instance, like Tagoro Brothers, where they're like, we errata, instead of saying like, cancel its effects and like destroy it, now it just says like destroy that card.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of thing where it's like, it's just sort of saying like, okay, it clearly, or, more clearly worked the way everyone's playing.
He's in slow motion right now.
Or what's the one, like the Botan one, where instead of like during the end phase, it just says like at the start of the end phase. Like that's another one where during was just sort of a weird term that
it was just like a technically incorrect thing. Yeah.
And so like those are all fine, and like you can kind of have as many erratas like that as you want. You just want to be able to find them.
Sure.
But yeah, like the stuff like. So I guess, the big ones are Spirit Gun is Yusuke only instead of, so it's not banned, but it effectively bans it for, like the Jettas, the Guiles, the Killick, like those, basically all the decks that you hate that are playing it, they can't play it anymore.
It's definitely more of a, I don't know, like fair card being in Yusuke only now. Like instead of just seeing it in like every deck, now you're only going to see it in Yusuke decks, so it's a little less NPE, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just one of those things where it's like, Yusuke, Yusuke doesn't really like leverage it like those other characters do. It's not bad, and obviously it's still a very good card. Like the raw stats are great.
Yeah.
For him, I think it is more one of those like a point answer card instead of like a tool for like mass debuild.
Sure.
He's not like, you can definitely still play like Kali Yuga in Yusuke, but it's not like Killick where you're just like, well, like I got this in Moonset and I'm just like looping debuild on you. Or like Jetta, who's just like blow that up, like add something to your momentum. If you try to cancel something, here's a like Tagoro, like it's not gonna have those just like
crazy interactions,
deal wipe opportunities, unless you just draw like 3 of them, but whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
I guess we mentioned the errata to Tim. I guess count me among the people, like, I didn't have to play, like, some of these Earth decks, so, I may be biased. Like, I don't think that it was, like, really necessary, but I think that's sort of more just sort of the idea of they want the champ characters to just be that, like, half a step below, like, the, like, highest tier. I think if this was, like, not a champ card, we might not even have this errata, people might be talking about it, but I don't think it would be as, I don't think it would be as likely to happen.
Sure.
Yeah. Or at least, I certainly hope it's just because it's a champ card, just because, like, if we're moving into this phase where we're going to be doing power level errata, really the number one most important thing is that they try to make sure that they only do it in the cases where they would normally feel like they have to ban something. Because as much as people have complained about Akuma, about Krita Yuga, about Raptor, about all these like really powerful cards that have come along, and frankly overpowered cards that have come along, the game can withstand most of those usually. People sort of play, and they end up defining the meta and being high tier decks, but they don't steamroll the format necessarily. And if saying that we do errata now means that every time one of those comes up, we're going to get an errata, then either they have to be much better about not printing those cards, or we're going to have way too many of them way too soon.
Sure.
So, in Tim 2's case, it was basically like its performance was basically on the same level as the Akumas, the Zhanguas, the Raptors, all the other like public enemy number ones that have lasted a few months. And then, a set released or some people adjusted to the deck in Akuma's case, and it sort of just became a good deck and not, this crazy monster. And I think the Tim 2 would have gone the same way, especially if Libra has a lot of cards that cause problems for that deck. And it, in my opinion, it was always kind of flimsy anyway. It's sort of like relies on a lot of moving parts and just kind of gets away with it with the 2 seals. But if people have this idea of what champ cards are supposed to be in their heads, and they were kind of bothered by it. And I know personally, like when I designed that character, I wasn't planning to have that RB activated 5, 6, 7 times in a turn. That was like never in my headspace. I didn't like when I was doing these characters, I didn't think like too deep about builds, because I sort of didn't want to have this predefined build that I was trying to make work or something like that. I kind of just wanted to let them into the wild and let people have fun with them. So like my kind of assumption about the Akimbo build was that if you're going to play a Cassie deck, play a Cassie deck. It was probably going to be better on Cassie. Especially like at the time, the only 7 hand sizers that were doing anything were those that had stats. Really. And that sort of shifted, and there was just enough of a critical mass of stuff with Akimbo, and
I think
played really well. People were able to win matches with that. So
I mean, it seems like the biggest thing was just like some of the non-prog like foundations. Getting like obviously you have like the sense of morals, but really like the addition of the
fusion refusal.
Fusion refusal, yeah. That seems to me to be like sort of having those like basically like 8 copies instead of like 4. And obviously, right, just being like a 1 diff, and like you can add a staging area. Even if you build it on an earlier turn, you can kind of effectively like add it, and it doesn't count as progressive for your attacks, and like it's going to give you like +2 to the next check, and I think, and even the D build one, obviously it's still counted as progressive, but if you're adding that and effectively saying like, and my attack it's like +1, so or +1 to the check, like. That's really good too. So and right, it's one of those things like you can make a card and then the card pool changes and you're like, well, guess that.
And I was aware of like, at least Sense and Fusion individually, but like I think I hadn't really thought too much about Akimbo specifically in terms of actually drawing the cards to pull this off. And like at the end of the day, it's still base stats attacks. At the end of the day, like even that deck has problems killing 6 hand size or lower females. But it's still kind of like win against what it went probably farther than what Jasko want to see champ cards doing. So it's fine. I don't really have a problem with it because it doesn't change anything I ever cared about doing with that character. So
anyways, I think Tim 3 is the more exciting character in the long run. Anyways, Scott has been proving that. So
and I guess the other one is Genbu. So it's sort of funny, I guess, like as far as I can tell, like the entire text box of that is errated. So it's just like functions a lot better in terms of just like, it's not a multiple copy. It's just a copy. The effect like adds it to the attack stack instead of saying like after this resolves, like do all this stuff, whatever. But the big thing is you can only play the R if it's your first attack of the turn.
Now I got a question.
I think this one that just kind of makes sense, just with like the nightmares or, anybody that was doing sort of like reduction into this, or if you had 2 copies, like there's a lot of ways to just like kind of reduce the like turn 1 or turn 2 potential of like just having this in multiples, or again, like, right, just Nightmare that's like, I'll play 1.
Yeah.
You have the audacity to block my like 10 damage move.
Have another.
You can eat it again, and like here's free copies of
so
it.
My question is, if it's added to the attack stack, does the copy resolve first then you go back to the original, or no?
No.
No, because the R is after you play it.
Oh, it's after you play it. Okay, all right, cool.
So it's
I was just making. Is there something to do with like when you like reversal with a multiple and you like things get all wonky, or is it my thinking too hard about it?
Well, like the multiples in E, I don't know. I mean,
you might not be wrong, but let's not get into it.
Yeah, because I think technically you'd have to resolve the copy first, but I'm not.
Might be right, but that if you're right, that I guess that may or may not have been true before the event. Let's not worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to bring that up.
Why would you put this into the world, Chris?
I know. Hey, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's one. I mean, that's fine. I was almost like surprised to see it.
I'm thankful because I hate that card. So
that's a
I'm
good
glad.
sort of like quality of life.
Yeah, it's a quality of life errata.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie about that one. So
yeah, I mean, you don't want people feeling bounded by like, oh, I can't play this Libra of Souls character because most of them are like imagining this 3 to 6 turn game, and they're like, well, I'm just going to get Genbooed on turn 1.
Yep.
And I mean, was Nightmare the most represented character at Nats, or just like
the top 2?
He was definitely.
I think there were like 6 or 8 Nightmares.
I want to say there was more Jettas and Raptors than there were Nightmares.
Okay,
yeah,
but I think there were like 6 or 8.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot. He was being dubbed the gatekeeper at Kenosha because I think there was 4 in Kenosha too. And I believe there was 4 in Omaha. There was 4 or 5 in Omaha as well. And like that deck was being deemed the gatekeeper because it's just.
That's just because there weren't like 8 people playing Kung Jin yet.
That's also true. But yeah, I know there's a lot of. I don't know. There's people who are mad because Spirit Gun is only Yusuke only, but I think in general this is great.
Honestly,
this is fantastic. All of this is great.
Just be happy that you can still.
Yeah. Or just do this.
Very easily just said this card's banned. It's a rare like.
Just play Yusuke and be the best Yusuke.
Well, I mean, anytime you do some card actions, it's going to affect somebody's deck who has an event in a week or 2.
Oh, for sure.
I think in terms of prepping for Indianapolis, I know when prepping for New Jersey, I basically assumed that Spirit Gun was getting banned or something. I built that Cobalt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, well, this isn't going to last, so let me just come up with a fun Cobalt to play in Jersey. Mm-hmm. And then nothing had happened to Spirit Gun, and so. I just Fam was in our hotel room on Friday night. I just like asked him straight up, like, all right, just tell me if it would be a mistake to keep working on Yusuke. And he said no. I was like, okay, we'll try this iteration on Yusuke. I tried a bit of a smaller build, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so I see why it was okay to keep working on Yusuke, just not any other Spirit Gun deck.
Yep. Yeah, I know the guys locally are very excited about all the changes. One guy who plays Genbu Nightmare, he's like, I get it. That's fine. He's like, I'll still throw it at people, and I can still pick it up and then play it again next turn.
Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it's just like, if you want that to be like your lead-in every turn, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with the 20 damage lead-in.
Starts off with a bang.
Yeah. Or an 18 damage lead-in. Sorry, there's nothing wrong with an 18 damage lead-in. I think most decks wish they could do an 18 damage lead-in. So,
Spread across 2 attacks? Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. For real, right? All right. So is that all of the news? Other than we have Indie PTC this weekend, and then we have pre-release weekend this weekend.
I guess they mentioned. Obviously they mentioned signups.
They
hopefully we'll have a PTC schedule for next year at the end of the month.
Yep. I think it's signups
the reaction to the pin events. Huh?
Signups start at the end of the month for PTCs for next year.
I might have misread it then.
I wonder if we're going to even get any before Worlds then. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
If they do, and it's going to have to be a place with like a really good local scene where nobody has to book plane tickets, right?
We definitely do not want it in Illinois because it's freaking cold here. Last year it was like -50. It was colder than Canada, and church. I was talking to church during that, and like they called off work, they called off everything. Like no one did anything other than freeze. So.
But yeah, I mean, the other thing is, they said the reception of the pin events has been pretty good. And they'll be doing the rest of the pins first quarter next year.
I'm doing a little side project for the website. I have all my decks listed. I'm listing all my decks on Ultra now, and then I'll be writing a little write-up about each event and then how it's been received here locally. We love the events. It's great having different styles. Like I'm taking a challenge personally. I'm playing a character I've never played before, and I'm trying to build stuff I've never normally played. So for the life event, I'm playing Water Lilith because I've never played Lilith yet. So I'm gonna play, and Water has some of the coolest. Hey, look, I ready this stuff. I commit this stuff for a cost, and it does things. So like Malfestation. So the life event is your character gains commit a foundation. This attack doesn't count towards progressive. And so
I thought it was your next card ignores progressive.
Either way, it still works. Either way. So Malfestation makes them commit something, and then Kuwabara's Endless Determination readies. So I can get 2 uses out of that. And then Lilith kind of has a commit on her stuff, and why not? I'm not playing Krita. I'm playing a fair Lilith. I'm not playing Krita. Because I'm playing different. I'm playing all 3 damage moves, but I didn't feel like playing Krita at all. But I am playing Yin and Yang because I'm going combos. So I'm going combos with Yin and Yang. That's what I'm doing. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, that was sort of my thing. Is like, I wanted to take the opportunity with the pin events. I guess we've only been to the one. We went to like the hero one.
Oh, okay.
And so I played like Satoshi. It's pretty similar to the deck like Hillman posted with like some tweaks, and it was definitely fun. Definitely a character that I've never played before. I've played against him a few times, like back in the day, when he was like pretty new. But yeah, that was good. I think we're gonna be playing in like the the Void one
that's commons and uncommons?
I think we're going to be probably playing in the Common Ground one.
Cool.
I don't think we're doing I think they're going to hold like the life ones like on like one of their Thursday night meetups.
Oh, okay.
But they sort of asked, they're like, which ones are you most interested in? So they can try to schedule those like on the weekends.
That's cool. Have you had a chance to play any of the pin events, Tim, at all?
No, we haven't really figured out what we're gonna do for them yet. We had nets and stuff. The thing with the Cape Cod group is there's like 6 or 7 people that are like close to the store, but then there's another 4 to 6 people that are driving from at least an hour away.
Sure,
right.
Including myself. So I know I usually only get down there once a month for the Premier Store thing. There's a couple people that are like every other weekers, and there's a lot of like parents in the group and people with life commitments and so on. So I know they have like regular weeklies there that are just sort of the people that are nearby the shop.
Sure.
But getting, they don't want to. They try not to like schedule special events when the people from out of town can't get in there, but they're probably going to have to do some.
Yeah.
Certainly without me, if not also like without Dave and them. So.
Yeah, I know. The store near us, like they actually, I think, did the fire pit event like the same weekend as like Nats. I mean, I don't think any of them went to Nats, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I like the ones that are like a little more like the fire pit would have been like kind of a cool one. The ones like that and like Common Ground, I mean, those are real.
Deck building challenges,
things that you have to build your deck for those events, whereas like hero, villain, the order's what you need like two decks, right?
Two opposing symbols.
Yeah, I mean those are the kind of thing where it's just like you can just play whatever your like pet deck is anyway, and like I really like the challenges where it's like where it's really just I mean, I guess some of them you're just like, I could just modify,
That's what some
my
people have
existing
done.
whatever,
Yeah, some people
but-
have done that locally, and I
Yeah.
I boo them when I see them. So,
Yeah.
but like for the what was the last one? The hero event. I have
Mhm.
never played Sofitia in an event, and so I built her and had a lot of fun. So much fun that I'm taking her to Indy this weekend, and I'm gonna play some Sofitia, and
Nice.
it's going to be complete. It's like I know that I praise the sun, our humble Lord and Savior Kolokan. I may be loaning that deck out and probably facing it round one, most likely on stream, and most like just like Tim. Yeah, it's just this vicious circle we just us Kodal players just have to deal with sometimes, I guess. So but yeah.
I tried to get them to because they like were just wrapping up game one.
Oh, should we
when-
just hop right into
I
it?
guess to sort of peek
Segue?
ahead, they
Yeah.
had just wrapped up game one of Tops.
Yeah.
When Dan Hughes and I had like finished,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're kind of shuffling. I was like, "Do you guys want to like move over to the stream?" And they were just they were both like, and they're like, everyone's already seen this matchup. And I was like, okay, so you guys missed out on some like just sweet top deck action that we will describe, but that would have been a pretty entertaining thing to have on stream.
Yeah.
But
I know
So
that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Tim.
my top 4 match with Scott was about an hour and 45 minutes.
I mean,
Oh my God.
as people were just like, "What's up with the stream? Is it going on?" It's like, yeah, it took like an hour and a half. I'm just standing there like,
hurry up. I know that to finish off the pin event thing. I know that I'm like you said, you're only interested in the stuff that really like deck building challenges. But I said that I'm taking personal challenges. So I guess something you could do if you find yourself kind of in a rut, build something new for it and try it out.
Yeah,
like
I mean-
I got to revisit Yamato Man. Yes, I didn't finish that great, but man,
yeah, I
his
like
life
that
force
list.
threads are awesome. I'm just gonna tell you right now, his
Yeah.
life force threads are great. So yeah, I get to revisit a lot of older stuff that you have. Like I haven't played Yamato Man in almost a year, so like it was really good to see that. And some other people are taking that upon themselves too locally, that they want to build new things and try new stuff out. Even though our last event for the hero thing we had 9 players and 5 people were playing 5-handers, which is I don't know, whatever, man. So yeah, we had an E Honda there too, which was crazy. He was nuts.
I think I remember seeing that where like who was he playing? Was it like Johnny or something? And people were like, "This is taking forever."
No, he was playing against the Kuwabara. So like, him and the Kuwabara were just staring. I guess someone had said in the Discord they were just gazing into each other's eyes while playing one attack, 2 foundations, and passing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, segue into the event we just had. Our champion brought honor upon the show yet again. So congratulations, Tim. Congratulations on your top. No, you're always going for the win, but collecting data for majors is sometimes what you use these smaller events for. So
Yeah.
I gotta say, I did get a kick out of the one comment I saw, which was like, when they posted the first update of like, hey, we're underway with blah blah, and like the one guy just posted like, hey, I just wanted to congratulate everyone on top 8.
Yeah.
We all got a top 8 now.
Which was funny because I picked Kurama and your buddy showed up. Was that your buddy who showed up with Kurama?
So the funny part is there were like Dan Hughes's friend was also going to play Kurama.
Oh, seriously?
And like we were like getting food beforehand, and they were just like, "Wait, you're playing Kurama?" And they're like, They're like, "Well, I guess one of us should switch."
Yeah, for real. Because like it was pretty exciting to see that I had both my characters were in it, so I had a 2 and 8 chance to
when
get
you
those
picked
points.
I was like, man, I could play something else, but like, it's like all I've been doing is like talking about playing this guy, and I haven't really like played an event since South Carolina, so like,
sure,
I gotta play this guy, right? So, yeah, I was like, well, I knew someone had picked like Kodal. I think it was Tyner, right?
Actually,
I don't remember.
Tim picked Kodal.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, I was going to play because I thought Spirit Gun was getting banned.
Oh no, you know what? I think someone picked Yusuke.
Yeah, that was
like,
Tyner. Tyner picked
fine.
Yusuke and Kadath because he thought someone may play Kadath at some point. So
hey, I mean, Kadath could have topped.
He could have. Oh yes, he could have. Yeah, and then we all got points for no diversity, obviously, but I got the extra point for having the exact attendance and the point for getting the winner. So I cleaned up on this.
Yeah,
one.
So we get in on Friday night, and Fam got in before us, so we were asking him about the shop and whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, they say that they have 6 locals." And I'm like, "Wow, we might actually have a normal size small event where like we have like the 12 or 13 people that a lot of small events have had."
Yeah.
But the store had told these locals that they were going to start the event at 3 because apparently that was the best time for them.
Oh, sure.
Which was fine because it was so small we could actually still one day the event. But
yeah,
in the end, only 2 of said locals showed up. So slops on planning for that whole crowd. I don't know how long in advance they knew about the PTC or knew about the times or figured out the schedule, but they couldn't get people couldn't get the time off or whatever. Yeah. So it is not literally a ghost town. There is an actual group there.
That's good.
We have found out. A couple of the other locals showed up later.
Okay.
But yeah, we wound up at 8 people total, which was at least a nice round number. At least we didn't have like 7 people where someone was getting a bye every round.
Yeah, that would have been pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, like, yeah, like I'm sort of in the same boat where like I think it would have been great if like all the local, if all like 6 of them had managed to show up, or just having like a 12-man event is kind of one of those things where it's like this is like a quasi like real event. I know like I saw a comment, is my 12-man locals going to be a PTC next week and blah blah, and I think that's sort of a tough one. There was some of this like last year too, where they were kind of trying to give PTCs to like new stores and stuff like this. Like I'm sure like it doesn't like look great, but like I don't know if I'm a fan of only saying like, well, like the only PTCs are going to be like in Rockford and Omaha and Atlanta and like these things where you're going to get like Indy, Chicago, these places where you're going to get like 30 or more people. Like because those aren't like a bunch of those are just right in the middle of the Midwest, and like those are a pain to get to for 2/3 of the country.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, like if the store had advertised the event more and advertised it with their own people more, or whatever they needed to do to make sure that their locals had showed up, because this wasn't like a Guelph thing where they just foolishly scheduled the event up against a Magic Grand Prix that all of their players were going to.
Right.
Somebody dropped the ball somewhere in like making sure that everyone was going to be able to show up.
Sure.
But if that had happened and if they had sort of advertised the event and if they weren't sort of in their own bubble and people knew that there was actually a group there, because so far as anybody knew, there wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if we knew that there was like a base of like 5 or 6 locals were going to be there, plus, 5 or 6 people that were definitely traveling to there, like some other people might have showed up.
Yeah.
Maybe if Virginia thinks that, hey, this is going to be like a 16, 17 person event, they make the trip. Or, if this had been the event just after the changes to the cards, maybe more people would have come. Or if this had been the event right after Libra hit.
Right. That's the thing. I think like in addition to like the local situation, I think there was also definitely, just a lot of people that normally would sort of like consider traveling to something like this just didn't. I mean, it's right after Nationals. The card pool's the exact same. Like, there's a set that's about to come out that people are going to be spending money on. So yeah, like it's
right
drivable for people in Virginia, and like they probably just didn't feel the need to sort of take off. I mean, nobody came from Rochester, and from there, I would think it's probably like somewhere around like
5, 6,
7,
like
8, or maybe it's that. Yeah, I think it's about 5 hours to get to New York. So, this is probably like an hour or 2 below that. But yeah, like there were definitely like groups within, you know, like a 7 or 8 hour radius that didn't show up. But yeah, I just think that some of that had to do with circumstances that were beyond the source control.
Mm-hmm.
And then, right, obviously, like, that, you know, there's nobody from there that's like particularly active that, you know, was sort of broadcasting like,
Yeah.
hey, we exist. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
come
and like
show up on this.
yeah,
You know.
and before, like, you know, I don't. Dan and Dave were kind of late confirms. I think your friend was a late confirm.
Mm-hmm.
So like, we actually thought that it might have just been me, Rob, Scott, and maybe the one local friend who knows Barry.
Yeah.
And we thought there. 2 weeks prior to this, we thought there was legitimately a chance of a 4-person event.
Yeah.
We got a couple more of people from our areas to come, and we wound up with 2 locals and got it to 8. But so far as by the time that was coming together, it was like way after some people would have needed to make plans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the fact that it was at 3, like I got a little extra sleep. You know,
that's kind of cool, right?
Leave at like 6 a.m. to get up there.
It's
to
not
register,
like
so.
it's not like getting ready for Rockford where we start registration at 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, that's just a Rockford staple now. Because I hate playing until midnight. So, but yeah, but even though the size of the event was small, like the quality of the players, you know, you had Tim, you had yourself, you had Scott, you had former national champion Dan, you know, Dan Hughes, you know, the quality was there. So it's not like it was just like, oh, I'm gonna walk in and steamroll everybody, even though you kind of did.
So
but that
was you know, I've definitely gotten like some messages and some texts like, oh man, Rob, like you're just like the man at taking down like rando like small PTCs that like nobody goes to.
Anything like north of Maryland, you see, and east of Rochester, you seem to win.
But I think like what I've sort of told people is I was like, I don't know that I call this like a soft like PTC win, but I would probably qualify it as like a cheap PTC win. You know, just because it's sort of like it's, you know, 3 rounds, top 4. Like all I had to do was win like 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And in Swiss, I literally won every die roll.
That's good. That's good for you.
You know, when my deck, like the optimal plan is to throw like a 28 damage Alorophobia on turn 2 that you can't block. Like, you know, it didn't happen like all the time, but I didn't lose a single game all day that I went first, which, you know, I mean, I certainly had games that were close. I mean, you know, like you can watch I presume it's archived somewhere, the finals.
Yeah.
You know, like I think both games against Scott where I led off first, like I was in danger of losing. I know there were games in Swiss against, I believe, Hughes and Scott. I played like Scott and Hughes also. I played them in tops and I played them in Swiss. And I definitely had games where I was in danger of losing, like going first in Swiss. And yeah, I mean, I think every match in Swiss I won 2-1. I know like some of those losses were I won game 1, and so like game 2 I went, oh, you know, I'm gonna build like a little greedy and hold like a couple good blocks, and I should be fine unless you just like, you know, rip like 5 attack hand or something. And you know, I think against Ed 9, you know, he had like a 5 attack hand and he checked well and I died. And I know, hey Barrett, what's up? I know against the Kodal and Swiss, when I went second, like I actually like had a really good like defense turn against like a big swing, and I think I like was left at like 1 or 2, and reviewed like the last foundation of my hand and drew up, and I drew basically like 1 attack. or maybe 2, but like it wasn't nearly enough. He was still at like 22 or 24, and it just wasn't. Like I think I ended up like playing an attack that he like didn't block, and I played like a bang just to like hopefully like top deck like something, which actually like then I would have been on an air chain, so I couldn't have even played like an Alloraphobia. But yeah, it was one of those ones where I just like, if I had drawn like a 4 attack hand, like I won. So like I definitely wasn't incapable of winning going second, but I did not. I did not manage that very. I did it once against Hughes and Top Cuts, but everything else was a sweet 2-1 victory going first. So. That's the secret tech, guys.
Hey Barrett,
win all your die rolls.
How's it going, buddy? How you been? Been good? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. I guess it's been a month since I've been on here.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Yeah.
Since the pre-US Nats, but no, it's been good. I've just been playing a lot of local games.
Cool.
Trying to stay sharp, but I mean the competitive season is winding down, so
it's gonna wind back up real quick though.
Yeah, it is.
It's in February.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going. Like it's too quick for me. So
that's fair.
So I'm effectively out until it's Universes, which just sounds like even this Worlds is pre-Universes. So that won't be the end. Or that will be the end, I guess. No, but I've been good. I've been messing around, playing Premier Store events, playing Tim Keefe, who I guess my deck will still work. Twice per turn's fine by me. Yeah. I'm sure you all already talked about Tim getting pegged down.
Oh, you can give your thoughts, man. Please give your thoughts. It's fine.
I thought everything on the list was fine, except for the Genbu nerf. I actually didn't think it needed to be hit that hard.
That was the most surprising one to me as well.
It was the most surprising one. Toguro Brother, clarification, sure. Spirit Sword Thrust, clarification, sure. Spirit Gun change, I think is fine. I think exactly what people were thinking of, like the biggest negative play experience that existed with the card was when you put it in these characters that also inherently had destruction, and Yusuke doesn't. So I think it's great for Yusuke. Guile got nerfed because they added a printed keyword to it, so against it, he sucks. I sent Mark a message and said,
"Guile matchup got so much better." Oh my god!
Yeah. So,
I didn't think about that.
I think the best part about it too is that they restricted it in a 7-hand size character, and if people think that the pure turbo destruction that will still exist in a Yusuke deck, the downside is that you're a 7-hand size with a 22 vitality. So like, I mean, it puts a little bit of a restriction.
It's not Jetta with like 8 billion health.
And 28 vitality is also a 7-hander basically with that card. So like,
the downside, sort of more specifically, to put a finer point on it, I think, is that you have to be a character that does not have additional debuild, is not looping the Spirit Gun, and does not have the speed pressure to really turn the screws. Yusuke can't really drive anything through your small board if it's ready. If it's ready, you got some tools, unless like he's got friends and rivals, or it's literally turn 2 or something like that.
Yeah, and like I was telling my local play group chat as well. Do I think errata-ing the card to where only because to keep it in standard for the signature character, is that a good answer? Not really, but like, but then I just kind of think like it probably should have said Yusuke only to begin with. Or it should have just had weaker stats.
It should have really rolled a 2. Honestly, I thought so. So
it's even like just not being a 5 for 6.
That too.
Just stuff like that. And so like I think this was probably the easiest solution. I think the easiest solution is to put it restricted on the character. I think the harder solution is to re-change stats of a card.
I mean, the easiest solution was to just ban it.
Right. And then again, that's where I don't really understand necessarily they admitted that it probably should be banned, but don't want to ban a signature character, especially the protagonist's main. And
Yeah,
so, like,
even the attacks have pro tag armor. Come on, let's
yeah,
go.
I think they probably want to keep the door open to actually banning things in the future, but I think at the same time, like, there seems to be a decision here that even though it's better from a theoretical card game management standpoint to only ever ban things, they're kind of conceding that, like, while the four of us on here and while a lot of our viewers probably understand why that is and all the reasons for that, the average Joe out there, there's a lot of players out there who sort of don't come from Magic, who either come from other card games or haven't played card games before, that hear about this idea of errata and don't really buy into, the sort of high theoreticals of, like, why it's better to manage a card game with bans only. Like, I know we lost a player in New England because he bought into Liu Kang the moment he got in, and then 1 week later it got banned. And, stuff like that is happening. We saw all the people complaining about Tiger Scream, and now people are complaining about Tiger Scream again.
What? Why couldn't they? I haven't even gone into the comments.
And so, like,
it also becomes an issue too of, like, well, do you just if you want to make these really strong signature attacks, do you just have to restrict them always to their characters, and ultra rares just become like this, character restricted kind of thing? And I think it's a terrible way to go. Yeah. Because one of the appealing standpoints is that you can cross play other people's stuff into other characters.
Yeah, very true.
So I think obviously going down that pathway is different.
It's going to be a hard path to navigate, and I think that it's going to be a pain in the neck for them. But they probably feel like they probably have to just, even though they know it's not really the best, to grow, they might just need to concede this and just be like, okay, we're going to do some errata now.
I mean, honestly, like, I think this is more just like any pain that comes from this errata is mostly just going to be for Jasco, because it's just going to open the door to everybody's complaints about, like, well, why can't you just errata this? And it's like, that's it. I mean,
how long till we want to errata Drossel? Right.
It's like people also talk about, I guess obviously the biggest, I think, attention getter of the list is that they didn't touch anything with Raptor, which I think a lot of people had voiced their opinions about. Obviously, Raptor not getting top 16 at U.S. Nationals being a big deal. But it's still having, like, Liu Kang syndrome, where, like, there was one on almost every team. So, like, I think the discussion is still there. Do I think the hits to this make it to where Raptor's more on the forefront? Probably. So I think Raptor will become the kind of, like, maybe sink down a little bit. Like, we'll jump back up and you'll see one at every event, and it will always do well, and it will continue to do well. Then you're right. This discussion comes back of, like, well, why can't you errata healed by a shaman? Why can't you errata
Jada?
Yeah, stuff like that. And eventually it will be the discussion. I'm sure they're not super concerned about that right now. I do think this was really good leading into before the Libra of Soul release, because this kind of restabilizes it for that release. And then the new focus is going to be those cards. The other, what was the last one? So your character, Tim, I think your change is fine. I think we talked about it too at Nationals. Yeah. You were like, what do you think would be a good thing? Because I think they were kind of already talking to you about maybe toning you down. And I was like, if you were twice per turn, it'd be fine, because the great players are only probably ever use you twice per turn anyway. Like, I know because I have a Tim Keefe deck that I played at my Premier Store event, and it's a pseudo mismatched version of what Phil Birch planned and messed around with, plus Shane's, and I kind of, because I love Guile's flash kick. Oh my goodness! But I don't own missile launchers, so I didn't play bad checks. So it was like I only ever actually ended up using Tim Keefe's response twice per turn, and it was typically just for defense. I structured the deck enough to where I didn't have to rely on it offensively in case I got banged or in case I got stopped, or and so, like, that's kind of how I did it with the deck. And essentially, I just wanted to be a good 7-hand size Earth character,
right?
And that
approach still works.
Yeah. In that sense, this character will be great.
The build that was all in on, like, I'm going to get this critical mass and I'm going to have this gigantic turn with Akimbo, That's not going to work anyway.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And that's fine. I don't care about it. I didn't like that deck anyway.
He will still be great at building 5 almost every time he plays. Like you still get to play a bunch of 3 diffs, and you're going to be fine. And in that sense, I don't think your character's going anywhere, buddy. Hopefully that doesn't mean when he sticks around competitively that you will get the hammer one day. But
yeah, I mean, it's the kind of character that's a lot of good players are going to be drawn to it, and they're going to want to play it because it does these neat things, and it's not just like, some people are less drawn to like, it just puts stats on stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of players are like, I want to do these like different, unique things.
Yeah, I mean, that was my initial reaction to it. Is I was just like, hey, like this is going to let people play a bunch of cards that they otherwise wouldn't play because. Like you get to play like more play lines. You get to play more high defense. You get to play like these sort of attacks that you otherwise might not. Like, yeah, I liked it.
So continuing on the the PTC.
Sorry, I have one more note. I will say, however, for Tim Keefe nerf, in conjunction with the Genbu nerf, that deck specifically is probably not playable anymore because the whole gimmick was reduction into Genbu, and you can never do that now.
Yeah.
Which is a little saddening because I know a lot of people liked that Tim 2 deck when they didn't want to play the Earth one. Again, most surprised by... Oh my goodness. Most surprised by the Genbu nerf. It was already a 1-check. It already had its things. Now it's got more things to restrict.
Yeah, we sort of talked about it. Honestly, I think it's just because of how prevalent Nightmare was.
Right? Yeah,
and that's pretty miserable.
And what Astaroth can also do it, I guess, coming next set, right?
Yeah, if it's not blocked.
Restricting that for later. So
that's true. Yeah, anything where he's just like, I'll just pick up this Genbu, and you're like, great.
Like, kill me now.
So that one might be more of a. They're looking ahead, which is
future-proofing it. Yeah.
It definitely did feel a little unnecessary, but continue with the PTC that you want.
Yeah. Because I want to get Tim's thoughts too, and we're kind of running out of time because you have what 30 minutes left, Tim, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to leave with the point that Rob was talking about how some of his games were close going first. In particular, that silly 59 card deck, half meme Kodal, almost won this PTC. Rob had 2 cards in his hand, a mid and a low, and he was facing down a mob strike that he had to change to mid with Face of a Monster. And Scott did everything he could to make sure
which I was going to make it.
Yeah, mid or low. So Scott made sure he used the Face of a Monster before he activated the mob strikey.
Oh, sure.
So Rob makes it mid. He activates the mob strikey. So if he hits the mid block and doesn't draw another mid block, Rob loses because he was dead on partial. Mm-hmm. But he hits the low block. And then Rob not only doesn't lose the mid block, he also draws a high block to get the ensuing moon set. So Scott was 5-6 to win that game or something, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, because I asked him today. I asked him if he drew the moonset off the mob strike draw, and he said he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I made it mid because I just figured the probability of drawing another mid was much higher than drawing another low. And then he hit the low, and I top decked a English Aristocrat, and I was just like +1 high, baby, I wasn't going to survive slide shots anyway, so let's go. And yeah, he played the moon set, and I was just sitting there I'm so ready. He's like, do you have a high block? Well, there's only one way you're going to find out. So
when that was going on,
pretty close finals. It was pretty.
When I was on lunch at Target watching that, and I typed in Maryland secretly best play group for small events.
I didn't do much following of the event because I was busy last weekend. But
Tim, thanks for streaming.
So essentially,
wait,
what?
Tim streamed it, so we appreciate that, Tim. So
that's great too. I guess I can go back and find some VODs. But essentially, so like just a small PDC. It was 8 of you, so they did do top 4, or
Yep.
they
3 rounds, top 4. Yep.
Okay, so they did top 4, and so then finals ended up being you and Scott, right, Rob?
Yeah.
So, and wait, what do you mean this meme of a Kotal Khan deck? What is this?
Yeah,
What do you
so
mean?
I built this. You might have seen me playing it a little bit after Nets, but I built this 59 card, 23 attack Kotal, because I sort of just wanted to see how it worked, and like I tested against some people because I thought Spirit Gun was going to be banned. I thought I needed a deck for Jersey, and I'm like, this is going to be a small event. I'll just play this fun Kotal deck that's hyper aggro and show people that like this is a way you can build Kotal.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt pretty good, and I was ready to play it, but then like it sounded like I was going to be able to play Yusuke, and I sort of decided once I heard that there might be up to 6 locals, I was like, you know, if I'm going to face these locals, I just want to bring my best. And, you know, if I lose to one of them, I want to make sure they beat like my best deck so that they can feel really good about it, as opposed to like if I played some deck that I'm not sure is actually good or not. But yeah, it's just low attack curve, 3 secret history, all the anti-destruction hate. It completely stops Yusuke. Which was, I knew what I was doing.
No good
I'm
deed.
hoping not to have to face that deck in round 1 of Swiss and in round 1 of Top Cuts. I got popped both times. The second time took a lot longer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Round 1, I lost in 20 minutes. The Top Cut round 1, an hour 45. I had a chance to win game 1 on like one of those like draw any 1 or 2 attacks and I win, but bricked.
Yep.
Game 2, I managed to pull out despite some ridiculous.
So I was talking the moment of game 2 that was so hilarious is Tim goes and he goes Spirit Shotgun, Spirit Shotgun, Spirit Shotgun, and on the third one, Scott's like holding like a moon set or something, like the last card in his hand. And he's about to die, and he just goes like, well, I mean, I'm going to Kotal R, and I guess we're just going to, like, voice of reason, and let's see what happens. And he draws, like, a Demon Realm. It's, like, the one card that he just, like, rips, and is just like, all right. And just slams that down to, like, take nothing.
Yeah. And I think he had, like, a big... Oh, and he had it up later in that game.
Yeah.
He was attacking me, and I was going to kill him on a reversal, like a reversal Urban Shower with Celestial. So I was waiting for him to play a non-safe attack, and while I'm waiting for him to do that, because I know it might be like a Mop Strike, I'm just taking damage to the face and drawing cards and like letting my hand build up. And I got all the way up to 7 cards by the time he plays the Mop Strike. And he randomly discards my 1 reversal out of the 7 cards.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, dude. That's hilarious.
You were literally
It's a sign, Tim. It wasn't your event.
It wasn't.
Sorry.
I did win that game, but then he went first in turn, who blew me up. And,
that happens,
I think I don't remember if it was my Top Cuts match against Hughes or if it was Swiss, but one of those I played something, and he like played a card and then like reversaled me with like Bug Spray, and I think I might have even had the like whatever the Taki card is to like bounce it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think I could have just said like I don't want to deal with this reversal, and I let him like do it or whatever, and it was like discard a thing, and I was like, is that a random card? And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, man, I got 6 cards in hand, like whatever, and fan him out, like shuffle him up, fan him out. He rolls like a D6 and hits like the Alloraphobia, and I was like, oh my god, I was like. Like you were so dead, It's like it's turned to like, I just stunned you out with the lightning shot. I was like, you were like beyond cooked, and I guess now I just have to like sit here and wait until I find.
But
like,
we should say rest in peace for those Botan cards because man, they're rotated after this next set comes out. So
I mean, they might not hit Pure Heart. Realistically, right? It
true.
is random.
Yeah, that is
Voice
true.
of reason, yeah. Voice of reason, get out of here.
You gotta see it in your opening hand.
No.
Yeah.
I'll turn one Bug Spray with Botan.
Oh yeah.
I don't want
Obviously,
combination.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so props for winning the event and topping, gentlemen. Wish more locals would have came out. It was great to have a stream. It was good to have some updates.
I guess that's the thing. It's like the store was nice.
Yeah.
You know, they had a good amount of space. Like the people were nice.
Good.
The players who were there, like, you know, they were definitely like courteous and, you know, thanked us for coming out. You know, I hope if they have the chance to like do events in the future, you know, they just sort of like publicize them a bit more.
Sure.
Just sort of know.
Yeah.
I think I saw like something where, you know, someone who's like in New York and they're like, you know, oh, where is this? Like, you know, I'd be interested in like playing sometime. So, you know, there are definitely people like around that would probably like come to some stuff, but you know, they just sort of have to announce it a bit more. So,
all right. Well, it's the time of the show we all have been waiting for.
The picks.
Picks. Here we go. So.
Wait. We have to do indie picks. I haven't thought about this at all.
Oh man, Tim.
Indie. Oh, it's indie.
It's indie. Yes. So
there's a lot of people going.
So now the way we are now positioned, Rob is in first with 21. I jumped Barrett into second place with 20. Barrett has 19. And the guests, riding Tim's back and Dave's back for the last 3 months, have gained some space, gained some ground, and they're at 13. So there's a chance that they can pull up and get into top 3 and knock someone down to 4, which this isn't for anything anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But I do have something in the works, I think. So we'll see. Something small. Can hold cards.
How did you jump all the way to 20 points?
Who, me? I got 4 points from the last one.
Oh,
I got two for attendance, you winning, and diversity, buddy. Everyone else got 1, so theoretically I got 3 points. So, all right. So attendance. I always forget how we do this. Is it last place goes first on this one?
No.
First place goes first for attendance, so they can get prices righted.
All right. Okay. Cool. Thanks. I always forget this one.
Yeah, I was like, 7. I was like, I'm going to not take like an even number. It'd be too easy to take 8.
And I did. All right, Rob.
Yeah,
attendance. I know. It is indie, so it could be a pretty good-sized event. So. Yeah,
I'm curious about like the travel. I mean, with the pre-release weekend, I don't think like anyone's coming from Omaha. Like,
no one.
You know, I don't think
from what I know, no one's coming.
Really coming out.
Yeah, no one's. It's basically gonna be a Midwest thing for the most part.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I think Phil Hirsch is still going.
Yeah, Michigan's coming.
Michigan guys are coming.
Yeah, Michigan's coming.
And J Ray's going because he's playing this guy.
That is true. That is true. He is playing you.
I just told you to pick. You're welcome.
No, I'm not picking him.
I'll call my own shot, technically.
There you go. What you got, Rob?
I'll say 33.
33? Okay. Because remember, the Kenosha event, we thought it was going to be in the teens and ended up being in the 30s. So that was surprising.
I'm just counting on, like, Chicago, like, Indy coming out, like, you know, big for their home thing, and then, like, you know, some good Chicago guys coming down. So we'll see.
I'm going. I'm the only Rockford player going. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right, well. Looking worse all the time.
All this information, yeah.
I'm going to go 28. I just pick random numbers. It never works.
I got to be risky because I got to catch up.
Yes, you do.
22.
Ooh. Tim?
Low.
So that's a pretty good, though. You went low because if it's anything under 27 and under, you got it. So
Until Tim just goes 23.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm actually going to go 29.
Oh, damn you, Tim.
Okay, so in between. Okay.
Yeah.
So Chris has the worst pick.
I do have the worst pick, yes. Yeah.
It's okay. It'll be exactly 28.
Yeah.
I'll do what Barrett did. I'll start asking people to drop. So attendance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Characters. I think we go.
Tim will go first.
Yeah. Character 1, Tim.
Oh man. I have no idea.
I can let you know that I am not playing Codal, obviously. So
yes.
He's lying to you. He said last time he said that he's still playing Codal.
I'm going to lend it out to someone before I get into the registration line, so I can't change my deck in the registration line. This is the promise.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think people that snap swap to Yusuke are gonna learn some things. Let's do. I'm just gonna say Kuwabara because I think he's been held down by the Steve build as much as anybody.
Okay. Barrett.
Man, I want to try and snipe Chris's pick.
Do you know?
Sophia.
Fuck you. Let's call my own shot.
I mean, that's what you did.
What did he play in his last locals?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to call my own shot there. I'm going to call Barrett Bryant.
I thought it was the safe wraparound pick.
It was not. It's never safe.
I mean,
you just pick the top dogs, dude.
Yeah.
I'll take Raptor.
He always takes Raptor. And nobody plays him.
I was going to, but I wanted to steal Chris's pick.
It's okay. That's fine.
What else?
Okay, so the recording screwed up the last 10 minutes of the show. So I'm going to give you the remainder of the picks. So Rob, in his infinite wisdom, went Colcon. So he went with Codal for his second pick. I took Tim Keefe 2-Dot on the off chance that people aren't going to be afraid from him just being a twice per turn character now. And then Barrett went Rando. And then our guest, Hall of Famer Tim Keefe, went with Yoshimitsu. And then we got to the diversity picks. That was it went two ways. Me and Rob both took one. And Barrett and Tim took 0. So we're looking at a wide open field here with a highly contested top 3. So we're looking for a barn burner of a final couple weeks of the season here. So some shout outs. Tim Keefe went on to say, watch his stream. He has games streamed, I believe, Monday and Thursday. And he does Iron Chef on Wednesday. I watched some of the Iron Chef this past Wednesday. It was fantastic. They had secret ingredients they had to use in their deck, and then they have a certain amount of time, and then they get judged on it. So please catch that on Twitch /Satonis. Watch the videos on demand. And then also Barrett Bryant, our great writer for the website, is doing his brainstorms for the new Soul Calibur Libra of Souls characters. I believe he's doing different symbols this time for every character, so he's not going to have a double symbol. So he's kind of working on that right now. I still owe Chris Rhinus a budget Hiei and a budget Kurama. That's in the works still. Me and Rob are both working on those. I have, as of recording tonight, which is going to be released tonight because we're late because I had issues with recording, me and Barrett did a top 10. We both picked top 2, top 5 cards in the new set, and we did a video on that. And then I'm going to do a new video segment called Rate the Ultra. So that should be coming out sometime next week. And then that's it. So like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more Universes UFS content and Rockford CCG. If you like our content enough, go to patreon.com. Check out Rockford CCG. You can get the Guile Truman podcast early, if I'm able to get it out early, and all the articles on the website come out early there as well. So thanks again. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you all later on the Guile Treatment. Have a good night.